Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and are done wrong. This is an older video, comes from August of 2020. I don't recall ever having seen this video, and I'm not even sure if this video made the rounds at a few of the other channels that showcase these type of videos. So I don't even know if it got that popular or not. But I've watched a little bit of it, thought it was interesting enough to share, thought there were some good talking points, and so here we are. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Manny Sid, Police Chief with the Culver City Police Department. In our commitment to being open and transparent, we are sharing this critical incident video briefing to provide you with the information of an officer-involved shooting that occurred on the afternoon of August 3rd, 2020. As a part of this video briefing, you will be shown surveillance footage as well as video footage from the responding officer's body-worn cameras. You will also hear the 911 call and radio traffic from our dispatch center. We hope this provides you with a better understanding of what occurred during this incident based on how we know it at this time.
I'm Community Relations Officer Marissa Yabko. In this video briefing of the officer-involved shooting, you will see footage from several of our officers' body-worn cameras. It is department policy for all officers to wear body-worn cameras while working in the field and to activate them while interacting with the public. Per policy, body-worn cameras are required to be worn in front of the officers' uniforms and above the belt line. It should be noted that body-worn cameras capture only one perspective, and the angle of the body-worn camera prohibits viewers from seeing everything the officer sees and experiences. A word of caution: the images and information you are about to see may be disturbing. When police officers use force to arrest a suspect, defend themselves or others from an attack, and/or protect the community, it can be graphic and difficult to watch. Viewer discretion is advised, especially for young children and sensitive viewers. On August 3rd, 2020, at approximately 2:26 p.m., Culver City police officers received a radio call to respond to a parking structure located at 8850 Washington Boulevard regarding a man that was armed with a knife. This 6-level parking structure is adjacent to the platform, a large outdoor shopping center with numerous offices, shops, and restaurants. This is the initial 911 call taken by our dispatch center, along with a video of the suspect entering an elevator on the first floor of the parking structure.
Dispatch, how can I help you?
Is this the Culver City Police?
Yes.
So I'm here at secure platform. We have a guy here who opened some water sprinklers and he has a knife.
What theaters were you at?
Platform?
What's the address?
8850 Washington.
Okay, so 8850 Washington Boulevard in the city of Culver City.
Yeah.
So security needs to know the address of the location that they're at. That just helps speed things up for the dispatcher on determining where services need to go. It's not that hard. Like, you should know the address of where you are at and be able to recite that if you have to call for some type of emergency services, whether it be fire, police, EMS, or some other service.
Is he?
Yes, 8850.
Where on the property is he? Where on the property is he, sir?
So I'm on the parking garage on the 6th floor, the upstairs.
Is he threatening anyone with it?
No, he would close the door, leave me out, take care of it. Then we saw he has a knife, we backed up.
Where was the knife?
He's the one who opened it.
Where did he lock himself in it?
And on some stairs in the back, and he just closed the door on us.
Is it like a stairwell?
Yeah, on the stairwell.
Is it a homeless guy?
He seems like it. He has some, yeah. He has the fire extinguisher. That's what he's using.
The suspect was later.
Man, that's kind of a tough phone call to listen to. That person calling the dispatch center isn't very well at talking on the phone. You need to be clear and concise in your communications with the dispatcher, being able to tell them accurately what's going on, paying attention to what they're saying, and be able to answer their questions. So it sounds like at first he said there was a guy who had opened some sprinklers, and now he says he has the fire extinguisher. That's what he's using. So I'm not sure if he's confusing the terminology for that, or if the guy had turned on some like outside garden sprinklers, or I don't know. I wish they would provide, or he would have, been able to clarify, sprinklers. Or did he bust open a fire sprinkler on the ceiling? I don't know, but he does mention fire extinguisher, so it makes me wonder if the guy is just setting off fire extinguishers. But we did learn that they went to approach the guy, and he closed the door on them, and then that they noticed he had a knife, and then backed away, and then ended up calling 911. So that sounds like to me that security there is, well, pretty damn useless. They're pretty much a professional 911 caller at that point. A lot of public places like malls and shopping centers and stuff like that who do choose to have some type of security service there. Not all of them do, but the ones who do choose to have security services there, oftentimes they will choose the cheapest security provider they can find because they don't want to pay a whole lot of money. They want to maximize their profits, right? And that usually comes in the form of an unarmed security guard. And the companies that they get, they will typically have basically restrictive policies on what they can and cannot do as far as going hands-on, and it's pretty much a hands-off type of gig. This is the type of security that is often referred to as observe and report type of security. That's all they do. They look around, see what's going on, and if there's something going on, they call the police or they call fire and EMS. They don't go get involved in anything. I kind of think that style of security is useless. They're not doing anything. All they're doing is picking up a phone and calling someone, and someone else could be doing that. Like, there's a lot of places where I think that type of function can be handled by the associates working in the store. Like Walmart. Why do you need if they're not going to be allowing their loss prevention to be doing anything to anyone, and all they're going to be doing is calling the police, why even have loss prevention at that point anymore? Why not just pay one of the stalkers extra money to make that phone call? You know what I mean? So this security was basically incapable of being able to handle the situation. A good security team, a good security company, they would have been able to handle that right off the bat. They would have been able to go up there, make contact with the person. Even if the person did close the door on them, like, they're not going to back down after that point. They're going to force that door open, go in, and figure out what the hell's going on. It sounds like, from what little information I have so far, that this is going to be something where this person probably is going to end up needing to be banned from the property. Now, that's done differently from state to state. Some states will allow security to detain a person so that they can then be banned from that property, and then other states do not allow that at all. The process of banning a person can vary from place to place. Some places may allow the entity themselves to be able to ban a person and tell them that they're banned, and then if that person comes back and they have to call the police, then the police will take their word that they have issued that person a notice that they're not to be there, and then the police will arrest and charge them for whatever level of trespassing it would be. Some places require that the police themselves have to be the ones to give that official notice to someone that they are banned from the property. And they will not take the word of anyone else that they've already been told they're banned. And when the police get there, if that person does not have a ban card, all the police are going to do is issue them a ban card, tell them, they're no longer allowed to come back on the property, and if they do, they'll be arrested. And they won't even arrest them right off the bat in a lot of cases. So it varies, but the security could have approached the guy, attempted, identify him, get his ID from him, and be able to call that in to the dispatch and have a unit being out there to facilitate that if that's what they needed to do. If they're able to do it themselves, then boom, they do it themselves, document who the person is, tell him to leave. If he doesn't leave, forcibly remove him. If it's something where the police are going to have to be involved, then obviously how that plays out is going to be a little bit different. And also the time frame for a response. So if you have no idea how long it's going to be before the police show up, and it could be an hour before they show up, it's almost no point in trying to go make contact with that person with the intent to end up getting them banned from the property, because that's not going to be able to happen. You're not going to be able to, in some places, keep that person there for an hour for the police to show up. That would be unlawful imprisonment. So the best you could do in a scenario like that is just identify who they are, and hope that they don't come back, and if they do, hope that the police will be able to arrive on time to be able to deal with them. So it may end up being something where you hold off on making that approach to go make contact with them and everything, and wait just a little bit longer so that that the police are going to be arriving there right about that same time, so that the banning process, if the police are needed for that, the banning process can take place. The noticing the knife, so he didn't really articulate very well. He could have had a knife on his belt. He could have had a folding knife clipped to his pocket. He could have had a little fixed blade knife in a sheath on his belt, and they've noticed that and just backed away. That could be their policy. If they notice someone has a weapon, even if they're not holding it, is to back away. A competent security team would not just, leave the area just because they noticed someone had a knife in their pocket or on their belt or anything like that. They would be able to deal with it appropriately. And if the person pulled it out, then a competent security team would be able to handle that as well, because they would be properly equipped and properly trained to be able to deal with that. But as I said earlier, a lot of public places, they just don't want to hire that higher priced security, because hiring that higher priced security cuts into their profits. So at the end of the day, when you think about it, these retail stores, these bars, nightclubs, they really don't care about the safety of their customers. They don't care about their customers at all. All they want is their money. They can give a fuck less about them. And you can really tell if that's true or not based off the type of security that they hire for their venue. If they hire the cheap-ass observe and report type of security, that is a clear-cut indication they do not give a shit about their customers. All they want is the money. If they hire a more professional team that is properly uniformed, trained, equipped, then that shows that they actually have some level of care. All right, talked enough about security. Let's move on.
The fire extinguisher, that's what he's using.
The suspect was later identified as Jesse Van Loozen, a 34-year-old white male with a criminal history who was on probation for robbery. After entering the elevator on the first level of the structure, Mr. Van Loozen made his way to the top level of the 6th-level parking structure and entered a stairwell. Once in the stairwell, Mr. Van Loozen ruptured a water pipe within the stairwell, caused a large amount of water to flood the stairwell and spill out onto the entrance of the top level of the parking structure. The Culver City Fire Department was also dispatched to the call regarding flooding and arrived on scene before our police officers. This is the initial radio call for service being dispatched to Culver City police officers by our dispatch center.
South Bay 2 for item 2, David.
Item 2, David.
417 at the platform, 8850 Washington, 8850 Washington Boulevard. There's a male subject with a knife in the parking structure on the 6th floor. He's not threatening anyone with it.
Red and David, copy. Who's our team call?
David, we'll handle from the station. You can clear to David.
10-4, 2 David, 1022.
Red 2 David, copy. Thank you, sir.
South Bay 2 for item 1, David. The RP has been employed advising the subject is a transient that has locked himself in the stairwell at the top floor. He's a male, white, late 20s, wearing a black shirt and underwear.
Copy.
While our police officers were en route to the call, they were informed by dispatch that Mr. Van Loozen had locked himself in a stairwell and that the fire department had requested a Code 3, or immediate emergency response, as Mr. Van Loozen had been seen in possession of a knife.
In South Bay 4 item 1, David, the fire department was out there for a commercial fire alarm and they're requesting PD Code 3 for the man with the knife.
Red 2 David, we'll be responding from the station.
10-4.
At approximately 2:30 p.m., 4 minutes after receiving the initial call, Culver City police officers arrived on scene. At approximately 2:32 p.m., Culver City police officers attempted to make contact with Mr. Van Loozen via the entrance to the stairwell on the top level of the structure, as well as from a lower level entrance to the stairwell.
We're giving a stop there. We're making attempting to make contact with the subject at the rooftop of the parking structure. So we're going to be in the stairwell. Hey, just come out slowly.
All right. So right off the bat, one of my chief complaints when it comes to videos like this is officers responding to high-risk calls without long guns. If you're going to a high-risk call that has a person that is armed with a deadly weapon, you need to have a long gun out. Rifle or shotgun, don't care which, you need to have a long gun. A long gun is far more superior than a pistol. A pistol is there for emergency purposes while you're doing low risk, or what people often refer to as routine calls, but it's for emergency purposes when you're doing a low risk call and it suddenly rapidly changes. And the pistol can be utilized in exigent circumstances. And of course, I am in the other living room with my dog outside, and there's a fire truck, so he likes to howl to the sound of the fire truck, so I'm sure you can hear that right now. All right, so one of my chief complaints when it comes to videos like this is officers neglecting to get their rifles out on high-risk calls. And this is a high-risk call. This is a person armed with a deadly physical weapon. A rifle is far more superior than a pistol. A pistol is something that is carried on a daily basis for when the normal thing that is done on a day-to-day basis is low risk, right? You think about agencies out there all across this nation, they're not getting in the gunfights every single day. Think about your agency and the last time they got into a gunfight, and if it was recent, try to think about the last time before that. Even if you're in a city that has a larger population and you do have, 1 to 2 officer-involved shootings a month or something like that, or maybe at least once a month, think about how many officers are out there on the streets and that whole month, right? So even though your town is experiencing maybe one a month or something like that, it's still not that much. If these agencies, by and large, were getting in the gunfights every single day, multiple times a day, that would be a different story. But because they're not, that's why pistols are carried. Because you're not needing the tools to go into a gunfight every single day. Because gunfights are just not happening every single day. And the pistol is comfortable and convenient to be able to carry on a daily basis at all times and it not hurt too much or take up too much room. So the pistol is there for everyday use, just hanging on the belt. while you do your normal, mundane, routine kind of calls. And if something rapidly and suddenly happens, then that pistol is there to be able to utilize to protect yourself or others. High risk calls, you know you're going to a potential fight. You know you're going up to a person that is armed with a weapon. Bring a long gun. That is a better fighting weapon. It is far more superior than a pistol. A rifle is more accurate, and it has better terminal ballistics. I often say, if you know that you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles. And the same applies for knife fights. All right, moving on.
In the stairwell. Hey, just come out slowly. All we want to do is talk.
Notice he's
We
got
want to help you.
gloves on, so that's a pretty good
Just come out
pre-setup
slowly.
right there. They know that there's a good possibility they're going to be going hands-on with this guy. So he already has gloves on for that eventual likelihood that they're going to go hands-on with them. So that's a good approach to have on something like this. Setting yourself up for success, and go ahead and putting gloves on.
We want to help you. We're not here to hurt you.
After several minutes, Mr. Van Loozen activated the fire alarm and briefly exited the door on the top level of the structure with a fire extinguisher in his hand. Moments later, Mr. Van Loozen re-entered the stairwell and closed the door.
He's pulled the fire alarm, and he also has the fire extinguisher with him.
He's going to fire extinguisher down. Yeah. One of you is the primary comms.
One of our department's mental health evaluation officers arrived on scene and attempted to talk with Mr. Van Loozen through the stairwell door.
You got what?
There were several other officers directly outside the stairwell door as well, one of which was armed with a 40mm projectile launcher. This weapon shoots a foam projectile and is used as a less lethal force option.
Yeah, from we see him. We're between the fourth and the fifth floor in the stairwell. And we got eyes on him holding the door. Is that something in his left hand? Drop! Drop what you have! Hey, he's got a pipe.
At approximately 2:49 p.m., Mr. Van Loozen abruptly exited the entrance to the stairwell on the top level of the structure with a knife in one hand and a pipe in the other, and charged at the officers. At this point, an officer-involved shooting occurred.
Hey, watch out, knife!
Two of our officers fired their handguns at Van Loozen, striking him multiple times. An additional officer fired a 40mm launcher, which also struck Mr. Van Loozen. In this frame-by-frame breakdown from the officer's body-worn camera, you can see Mr. Van Loozen abruptly exit the door, armed with both a knife and a pipe. You can hear the officers immediately verbalize that Mr. Van Loozen is armed with a knife as Mr. Van Loozen charges them holding the knife in his right hand. The officer-involved shooting occurs, and Mr. Van Loozen falls to the pavement. He drops both the knife and pipe, and no additional shots are fired.
All right, so my big problem with this is the only thing out that I can see is a less lethal weapon. There does not appear to be anyone holding a lethal weapon and providing lethal cover for this person who is armed with a deadly physical weapon. That is a big no-no. You never have only just less lethal coverage on a lethal threat. You should be having lethal coverage on that threat in the event that your less lethal coverage fails, because less lethal coverage does often fail. And that 40mm launcher is a one-shot deal. He fires one round, And if he misses, he's going to have to pop it open, insert a new round, close it, reacquire target, and fire. It takes a lot longer to do that than me just saying it. It takes several seconds to perform a reload and then get back on target and fire. That's not fast enough. That is not a fast enough working, less lethal weapon to be just the only thing out. So they should have had, a couple of them should have had their guns out for sure. Their positioning. So when we look at this door right here, we see that it opens up this way, right? So it would make more sense for people to be on this side of the door so that you would be able to see in a lot better. Whereas if you're over here and the door opens, you're not going to be able to see shit. This is a better side to be on. And if you're going to be on one side of the door, everyone else needs to be on that same side of the door. Because as this guy exits, what does it turn into? It turns into the potential for crossfire. Notice he is here, and these guys are over here. That is a recipe for potential disaster.
Two of our officers fired their handguns at Van Loozen, striking him multiple times. An additional officer fired a 40mm launcher, which also struck Mr. Van Loozen. In this frame-by-frame breakdown from the officer's body-worn camera, you can see Mr. Van Loozen abruptly exit the door, armed with both a knife and a pipe. You can hear the officers immediately verbalize that Mr. Van Loozen is armed with a knife as Mr. Van Loozen charges them holding the knife in his right hand. The officer-involved shooting occurs, and Mr. Van Loozen falls to the pavement. He drops both the knife and pipe, and no additional shots are fired.
Hey, what's up?
Whew, man.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Immediately.
Back up. So as he's going this way and he's going poppity poppity pop, man, these two guys are super close. It's very, very possible that he could have missed, round, hit the ground, ricochet, boom, hit one of these guys over here. So that's what I was talking about it being important that on something like this, everyone be on the same side. That way this dude comes out, you're not going to be running into a crossfire kind of scenario. It also looked like this was kind of like the corner of that parking structure. So if that guy comes out this door and goes this direction over here, he's blocked in. He has nowhere to go. Why the hell are you going to stick people over there? That doesn't even make any sense. If he goes this way, he could go towards the ramp or go further out of the parking structure area itself. So it makes more sense to have everyone stationed right in this side over here. So if he comes out, or if that door opens, one or more of them are going to be able to see into that area a lot better versus from this side over here. And if he starts to come out, well, they have sort of a fence of people, so to speak, or a line of people blocking his route. And if he wants to run this away, well, he's just going to run into a little concrete wall that looks like this over here. And then he's going to have to make the decision to either stop and stay right there or jump over that ledge and unsubscribe from life.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Immediately after the shooting, the officers on scene rendered medical aid to Mr. Van Loozen until Culver City Fire Department personnel arrived on scene. Mr. Van Loozen was transported to a local hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. This is a relatively recent photograph of Mr. Van Loozen, along with a photograph of the knife and the pipe that were recovered by investigators at the scene of the shooting. During this incident, a Culver City police officer was accidentally shot by a fellow officer.
And I fucking called it. God dang.
The third officer was transported to a officer.
Yeah, it's never a good day when the police are shooting each other. That destroys any trust that some of your public has Some of the public just has no trust at all, and they're just anti-police assholes to begin with. But there are some people who have some trust in the police, and when stuff like that happens, that erodes that trust. And in-house, I mean, it can cause some issues in-house as well, especially if the person dies. So all that stuff I talked about earlier about, avoiding crossfire as much as you can, smart tactical positioning, that's stuff you've got to be thinking about, because you never want to shoot your own people.
The injured officer was transported to a local hospital where they were treated and later released. The injured officer is recovering at home.
Per Culver City Police Department policy and practice, when an officer-involved shooting occurs, there are 4 separate independent investigations that are conducted by the following entities. First, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department will conduct a thorough criminal investigation of the entire incident, which will focus on the suspects and officers' actions during the officer-involved shooting. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office will conduct an independent investigation to determine if the officer's use of deadly force was legally justified. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office will conduct a parallel investigation with the Sheriff's Department and District Attorney's Office, which may include an autopsy and pathology reports. And lastly, the Culver City Police Department's Professional Standards Unit will be responsible for conducting an administrative investigation to determine if the involved officer's actions were justified in accordance with department policy, procedures, and training. Over the next several weeks, these departments will continue to thoroughly investigate this incident. The investigation will include interviewing multiple witnesses, reviewing hours of video footage, and analyzing forensic evidence. Our understanding of the incident may change as additional evidence may surface or as existing evidence is analyzed and reviewed. The investigations will not draw conclusions.
All right, so I'm going to end it right there. Not much else to talk about. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.